if I were you, I would do everything under a personal brand.
I
So
was kind of that's kind of why I'm drawn to you because you kind of managed to do that, and yeah, that's kind of what I want to do, but I don't get how because it seems so different to me, like all of them. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't matter because those might seem different,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
are you.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is I want you to, instead of investing,
Mm.
don't invest any time or money into building the Hiller hip hop brand
Mm-hmm.
or the kidney brand or the digital business angel or the
Mm-hmm.
soulflower brand
Mm-hmm.
on its own. I want you to put all of that into, instead of like people knowing about those different brands, I
Mm-hmm.
want everyone to know Anna.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yeah, I was
understand what I
kind of
mean?
hiding. Like that was one big struggle for me. That's kind of why I wanted to start the podcast so that nobody would see me. Everybody, the focus was on the other person. So I was shying away from that, but I think I'm ready. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, so what I always say is don't niche down in your brand, in your content, but niche down in your product.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you look at
Mm-hmm.
my content is all over the place. Like sometimes I'm talking to designers, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to coaches, sometimes I'm just talking, giving general life advice, sometimes I'm talking to about business, sometimes about copywriting, story. It's all over the map, right?
You know what, son? I haven't realized that. Like I'm following you on Instagram and the podcast, but I haven't realized that because I don't always see you. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Is that people are not necessarily thinking about the topic that you're talking. So, like, have you heard of Gary Vee?
Yes, I have. Hmm. Yeah.
So, Gary Vee is a great example of that, right? Because sometimes he talks about,
Yeah.
you know,
I
marketing,
couldn't
social
I
media.
couldn't tell you what he's talking about. I just know he's
Yeah,
talking a lot, giving
yeah,
advice.
exactly. 'Cause so if you look at a lot of these brands, you'll see that they talk about various topics.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the only common thread is that it's the topics that they care about.
Hmm.
That's really the only common thread. There's no real niche or anything like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what I want you to do is, so what I noticed is that when you try to grow a brand, let's say Healer Hip Hop,
Hmm.
it's so much harder to grow a Healer Hip Hop brand than your own brand with your own
Hmm.
face and your own
Hmm.
name,
Hmm.
because people are much more drawn to the person.
Hmm.
And even if you're trying to grow like your own brand, most people are just going to remember you
Hmm.
more than Hiller hip hop.
Hmm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I would do that. Like it's unbelievably excruciatingly hard to build one podcast, one YouTube channel, one Instagram. That if you're trying to do four at the same time, what's gonna happen? It's like you're spinning dishes, right? Like every time like you do
Yeah,
this and then
absolutely. Yeah.
and a lot of these platforms they need momentum.
Yeah.
So
And
what's happening is
yeah.
none of those platforms, none of
Hmm.
those each channels are actually gaining enough momentum for it to take off,
Yeah.
because you put a little bit of time into this and
Hmm.
then you put time into this thing and this
Hmm.
momentum dies and then the next thing that momentum dies, and that's going to keep happening. So I
Hmm.
need you to put all of your momentum, your kind of metaphorical eggs into one basket,
Yeah.
which is your personal brand in terms of the promoting, audience building,
Hmm.
and things like that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then um and then we can talk about actual revenue model products and things like that.
Hmm.
So if I were, I'm not telling you to do anything, but
Hmm.
if I was in your shoes,
Hmm.
what I would probably do is I would maybe just still call it Healer Hip Hop,
Hmm.
but with Anna, or
Hmm.
like I would bring my name into that,
Hmm.
put my face on there,
Hmm.
and then consolidate all of your social media channels into one channel. So have one Instagram account with your personal name in it.
Hmm.
have one YouTube channel with your personal name in it, or Heal or Hip Hop with, and like
Mhm.
kind of how
Mhm.
I do it. Like, so my
Mhm.
YouTube channel is called Authentic as Fuck with Sunny,
Mhm.
and my podcast is called Authentic as Fuck with
Mhm.
Sunny.
Mhm.
My Instagram, my TikTok, all of my account is basically me. It's
Mhm.
just my personal account, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But anyone who follows me, I'm
Mhm.
talking about, go watch my podcast, my new podcast episode.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I'm just, or go join my program, Night Owl Nation, right?
Mhm.
So I'm branching everything from my personal brand.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I mean?
I totally understand, but I have questions. Like, for
Yes.
example, it would obviously I would choose the one with the biggest audience, but
hmm
they will not like it. I think, what do I do about it? Like, I'm scared.
Well, okay. First, there's a few different aspects to that. Number one, why do you think they won't like it?
Because I've only talked about hip hop. Maybe now and then, sometimes I shared. I also have a transplant, but not more than that. So I'm kind of scared if I, oops, pop up. Here's something about kidney. Here's some or chronic
hmm
disease. Here's something about business
hmm
or things like coaching and. I think it's. I cannot imagine that people will like it.
Well, you're not really talking about coaching. You're not talking about those things. What
Mhm.
you're talking about is, in your content, you're talking about what you're interested in.
Mhm.
We'll get into coaching stuff, the products later. Right
Ah,
now, I'm just talking about audience building,
okay. Okay.
because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what you said before about creating a product and then building a brand, that's actually not the right way to go. What you should be doing is, that's the old business model where
Uh-huh.
a
Okay.
company builds a product
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, how do I sell this product now? Right.
Yeah.
So they go out and run ads, they go find these marketing channels. Maybe they reach out to influencers and help them sell, like they'll help them sell it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the old model. The problem with that model, what's happening is, I don't know if you heard of like the whole thing with the FTX, which was like a crypto
Yeah.
exchange,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and all these celebrities endorsed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? Like, it ruined those celebrities' names.
Yeah.
So now the celebrities are starting to realize that I don't want to keep endorsing these brands that I have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
So the celebrities, like Dwayne Johnson starts his own tequila company, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like Kylie
Mm-hmm.
Jenner starts her own cosmetics company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Beast starts Beast Burgers and Feastables. Like
Mm-hmm.
the influencers themselves are creating their own brand,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're selling to their own fan base,
Mm-hmm.
because and that's the new model. The new model is the the person who has the influence have already built the audience, have
Mm-hmm.
already built a relationship with their audience, and have already earned the trust of their audience.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that they're selling, the audience is buying it because they trust you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when you start thinking of it like, oh, but if, like, that's kind of how I was when I post carousels. People love my carousels. My carousels gets tons
I
of
love them.
engagement, tons of
Yeah.
reach.
Mm-hmm.
My videos don't get as much reach.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I post videos, it'll get like only 10% of the reach, maybe 20% of the reach,
Mm-hmm.
and not as many engagement and things. People didn't really watch them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's what that really means. Reality. It means people only care about my carousel. They don't care about me.
Mm-hmm. True.
Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That means at the end of the day, when I sell a product, they're not actually going to buy my product, because they don't
Mm-hmm.
actually care about me. They just
Mm-hmm.
care about their carousel. It's kind of like, I can
Ah.
create a meme account
Yeah.
where I collect all the best content, most viral content out there and collect it, and I can get 1 million followers.
Yeah.
But then let's
Mm-hmm.
say I sell a coaching program now. Do you think anybody's going to buy from me just because I have 1 million followers? No, because the
Yeah.
only reason why they're following from me is because they like the memes.
Yeah.
They
You're
don't
right.
like me.
Yeah.
Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand me? And that's the difference between just numbers in terms of account. And it's also the reason why I had a friend who had like 100,000 followers,
Mm-hmm.
and he sold an ebook,
Mm-hmm.
and only like 30 people bought it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
because
can
those
imagine.
100,
Yeah, I made the same experience with Healer Hip Hop. I thought obviously I would have a lot of viewers on for my
Mhm.
festival, obviously, right? But no, it wasn't.
Mhm.
It wasn't. It was kind of similar numbers, and I was
Yeah,
shocked. Yeah, it really doesn't mean anything. You see, like I have with the 170 followers, I make more money than with the 8,600. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So it's not just about the size,
Hmm.
but it's also the depth, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I will say:
Hmm.
if you lose followers because you start showing yourself
Hmm.
and you start talking about more about yourself and stuff you care about,
Hmm.
then I'm going to be honest with you. They were never your followers to begin with.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people make mistakes. When I first came on Instagram, what happened was, um, even though my videos didn't do well, I kept posting them, right?
Hmm.
And then a lot of people at that time, a lot of people were making carousels in the design industry, and they were talking about, okay, this is how you do design, and this, or some of them were talking about Instagram growth. This is like, oh, here's how you use the hashtag, here's what you do, like how you do engagement, here's like the best time to post, and they were kind of doing all of those kind of content, right?
Hmm.
And then I came in, I started talking about marketing, but I also started talking about authenticity a lot,
Hmm.
and I started talking about all these other like finding your purpose and all of these other topics, right?
Hmm.
And what ended up happening is all those carousel people that grew their account started reaching out to me and said, "Son, like, help me." These guys have way more followers than me, by the way, right?
Hmm.
But they would reach out to me and they'll say, "Son, help me because I really want to talk about other stuff like you too, and I want to be more authentic in my content. I want to show more of myself, but I'm
Hmm.
scared to do that because my audience is the same question you're asking me right now
Yeah.
was what
It's
they were asking me."